What happens when things get violent? We've witnessed everything from verbal abuse to diss albums. Beefs and rivalries in hip-hop are practically a given. Last night, the unthinkable happened. Camron was arrested, and Jim Jones is now in the hospital. This crisis is not just another rap dispute. It has the ability to change the game forever. As we dissect all the startling details, I assure you that you won't want to miss this. The infamous Camron, known for his flamboyant attitude and his role in the historic Diplomats crew, was detained last night, while Jim Jones, a longtime collaborator and fellow Dipset member, is currently in the hospital following a violent confrontation. This isn't just another celebrity dispute or rap fight we've seen on social media. It's about real-life repercussions. Was this a single incident? Or was there something more going on, and why did things reach this point? For the futures of both artists, the reasons of the arrest and hospitalization, the specifics of the altercation, and any possible fallout that could affect the rap game are all covered in this film. We'll also talk about Camron and Jim Jones' past, what might have led to the escalation of their conflicts, and how it might affect both their careers and the hip-hop industry as a whole. Stay tuned, because what we're about to reveal will make you reevaluate everything you believe to be true about these two rap icons. Let's take a step back and think about the relationship between Camron and Jim Jones. Hip-hop is familiar with these two names, particularly in connection with the Diplomats, or Dipset movement. Leading this movement were two brothers in arms, Camron and Jim Jones, who created a brand that revolutionized East Coast rap in the 2000s. Despite their public closeness, Camron and Jim Jones's relationship had its ups and downs, even during its height in the mid-2000s, contributed to each other's professional advancement, and their partnerships, such as SA and Diplomatic Immunity, remain enduring to this day. But as time passed, conflicts started to show themselves in the years after their heyday. Despite being initially kept secret, tales of tension surfaced, suggesting that their friendship was in danger. What caused the friction? The demands of fame, money, and creative differences appear to have caused their relationship to deteriorate over time. One of the major events that predicted their future breakup was Camron's controversial disparaging comments about Jim in 2008. Even though it appeared like the two were reunited after some time, the relationship never truly recovered over the years. Both artists went on to pursue solo careers. Camron, for instance, became well known in the fashion industry and even tried his hand at acting. In interviews, Jones said he was working to build the Dipset brand. He even went so far as to say that he believed Jim was getting too big for his boots and that his ego was getting in the way of their collaboration. Despite their problems, Cam and Jim have always had a close relationship that goes beyond their work relationship and is more like family. Fans and the media were so quickly made aware of this recent occurrence. What intensified the situation? Why would two once inseparable individuals allow their antagonism to worsen? To really comprehend how horrible what happened was, we must examine the night of the incident. It was more than just another night in the hip-hop scene when what happened astounded both fans and industry insiders. Jim Jones's hospitalization and Camron's arrest were random acts of violence were a turning point in the feud between these two rap legends. Reports started to surface late that night, and the first rumors were vague, according to several sources. Jim Jones and Camron were both present at a function when a violent altercation started. It is clear that things quickly got out of hand, even though the specifics are yet unknown. The battle reportedly started as a heated argument between Camron and Jim Jones that may have started as a verbal sparring session, but escalated into a violent altercation. Although the specifics are still unknown, sources have suggested that the disagreement was more about respect than it was about music or business. According to one insider, it came to a head when Camron thought Jim Jones was pushing boundaries in ways that no one had anticipated, whether it was in his personal or professional decisions. As the situation escalated and the violence swiftly became public, it appeared as though years of stress were let go that evening, according to the event's surveillance film, said to have caught Camron and Jim Jones fighting, and as the altercation heated up, everyone around them recognized something serious was happening. When police arrived, Camron, who was allegedly involved in the physical conflict, was taken straight to prison, while Jim Jones, who had been hurt during the confrontation, was transported to the hospital. Jones apparently needed emergency care for injuries he sustained and he was treated for. This is where the story becomes even more vague. Instead of being a straightforward argument that descended into violence, there were rumors that the altercation might have been a setup. Was there a long history of someone in the background fanning the fires between the two? Although some media conjectured that the gap between Jim and Cam was more extensive than anyone realized, others thought that outside forces were involved. One thing is certain: this brawl has rocked the whole rap business, leaving fans who grew up listening to Dipset's distinctive sound in suspense. How could the love between these two icons have ended so abruptly? The altercation between Camron and Jim Jones was more than just a crazy episode. It had a significant impact on their personal and professional life, as well as the hip-hop industry as a whole. What everyone is really thinking about are the long-term effects. What does this mean for these two icons, their legacy, and the future of their musical careers? The immediate consequences were severe. Camron was imprisoned, and Jim Jones was rushed to the hospital. First, let's examine Camron's legal situation. Although it is unclear what charges Camron is facing specifically, the reported nature of the incident raises the possibility that he is being charged with assault. He has always avoided serious consequences, but this time it might be different. Further potential legal issues are brought up by Jim Jones' medical admission. Even though Camron has a history of legal issues, this arrest is significant for his career because it was a violent and widely reported episode. Consequences: will Camron be imprisoned, and will the violence turn into more serious problems, like lawsuits or perhaps retaliation? Although it's obvious that this episode has the potential to damage Camron's reputation to an unprecedented degree, only time will tell. Even more worrisome is the possibility that Camron's incarceration will impact his business endeavors. He is more than just a rapper. He is a brand, from his apparel line to his acting career. Despite expanding his professional horizons, will Camron be able to maintain his reputation with such a high-profile arrest? Will his supporters continue to support him? Then there is Jim Jones, who sustained the most physical harm during the altercation despite not being taken into custody. Despite the absence of information about his condition, it is evident that the altercation within the hip-hop community was serious. A hospitalization like this shakes the community, especially when the victim is a well-known person like Jim Jones. The doctors have not yet released a full statement regarding the incident. There will remain unresolved issues after this confrontation, despite Jones's constant candor about his difficulties, including his personal issues and rise in the rap profession. Will Jim Jones fully recover both mentally and physically? The rapper is doing well, according to those close to him, even though surgery was required due to the severity of his injuries. The physical toll may have a long-term negative effect on Jones's career. More importantly, how will his hip-hop career and music be affected by his hospitalization? What impact will it have on Dipset and hip-hop culture? Transcends the personal rivalry between two musicians and has an impact on hip-hop culture as a whole. What happens to Camron and Jim Jones will have an impact on the history of Dipset, one of the most influential rap groups of the early 2000s. Hip-hop has long been characterized by devotion, respect, and sincerity. Therefore, the public breakup of two members of one of the most well-known groups in the genre sends a message that many followers are left in the dark about the existence of the Dipset brand. Will Camron and Jim Jones be able to make amends and bring the group back to life, or is this the end of an era? Dipset was more than just music in the tumultuous world of hip-hop. It was a movement, a voice for the voiceless, and a symbol of unity. After seeing two of the group's most important members go from being co-conspirators to enmity, many have questioned whether the group's cohesiveness can ever be restored. However, what about the other members of the Dipset, such as Jules Santana and Freaky Zeke? Will they take sides in this turmoil, or will they attempt to stay out of it? Apart from the direct personal consequences, the violent altercation between Camron and Jim Jones has affected both their careers and the hip-hop industry overall. Despite the fact that both of these performers are culturally embedded, it is uncertain how this incident will affect their legacy in the long term. Let's take a closer look at Camron's career and place in hip-hop history. The future of Dipset is more uncertain than ever since the group chemistry has already been tested. From his early days with the Diplomats to his successful solo career, Camron's influence on the hip-hop scene has persisted. He is among the few rappers who have achieved fame in pop culture outside of the music industry. His unique style, witty repartee, and unrepentant manner have earned him a devoted following for decades. But given his incarceration and the public nature of the violence, people are beginning to wonder what Camron's legacy will be. Even though he is incredibly talented, this altercation could overshadow his previous achievements. His involvement in a well-publicized violent event. Because of his past and their admiration for him, would supporters continue to support him? Or will this damage his reputation forever? Some people think Camron can overcome this one with his natural charisma and tenacity because he has recovered from setbacks in the past. Some are speculating that this could be the beginning of the end for his career. Jim Jones. How his career and recuperation were affected. Jim Jones, who is well known for his contributions to the Diplomat's sound, his successful solo career, and his ventures into real estate and other business ventures, is no stranger to controversy. Despite being a prominent figure in hip-hop for a long time, this violent altercation may cast question on his future in the industry. Camron might endure a long run of negative publicity and struggle to regain influence over public opinion. The most notable aspect of the recent volatility in the sector is Jim Jones's tenacity. The man has seen a lot of challenges in the music industry and on the streets, but this incident could seriously harm his physical and emotional well-being. When someone who is accustomed to being the tough guy in the room is physically taken down, the narrative shifts. But what if a well-known rapper is portrayed as a victim? Does that make him appear weaker or more relatable? Fans' responses differ, and Jim Jones and professionally could take longer than anticipated. Will this incident force Jones to change his public image or rebrand? Or will it trigger a period of introspection during which Jones puts his physical and mental recovery first? Interestingly, Jim Jones may be able to move on from Camron, his former partner, as a result of this circumstance. Without Camron, does Jim Jones now have a chance to leave his mark on hip-hop history? Will he change his strategy and recruit new partners? Or will the public's perception of this altercation? The future of Dipset is about to change. As Camron is currently dealing with legal issues and Jim Jones heals from his injuries, the collective's legacy is at a tipping point. Will they be able to survive if their core group disbands? Will the remaining members of the collective try to maintain it? Camron and Jim Jones, together with Freaky Zeke, Jules Santana, and others, were at the core of the collective. Dipset was more than simply a rap trio. It was a movement that affected fashion, street culture, and a generation of fans. The ramifications for the larger hip-hop community must also be considered. Would other artists avoid Camron and Jim Jones because of the problem? Or would they support them in a culture that frequently praises overcoming adversity? Is now the time that the two men receive the assistance they need to get back on their feet? More importantly, will Dipset's impact endure throughout hip-hop history? Or will this altercation be the event that defines their legacy?